Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions regarding this watch. And today we regard one of my favorite watches of all time, the Patek Philippe Regulator Annual Calendar. This is the 5235/50R-001. The original version in white gold debuted in 2011, and then through fits and starts, as its ambitious movement was perfected, Patek brought it into series production, regular production, sometime between 2014 and 2015. They really started leaving Geneva in earnest. But for 2019, the white gold watch gave way to this, the rose gold model. The movement now perfected. It's served as the basis for a new generation of micro rotor movements. But in this, its original vessel, to me, it just feels like a hand in glove. The timepiece features a rose gold case. This was the part that was new, along with the dial for 2019. The design is supposed to echo, and very closely, the historic 3448 and 3450 perpetual calendars. And so that's where this cylindrical case, the angular lugs, and the conical bezel come from. 40.5 millimeters in diameter. The watch is 10.6 millimeters thick, 47.8 lug-to-lug. It has a 20 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. I adore this watch, and Terry Stern has spoken of the 5235 generally and just said it's one of his favorite designs that he's brought to market during his time as president since 2009, and I have to agree. This is one of the most distinctly different Pateks in terms of aesthetic, and it actually looks a good deal like the even more expensive and subsequent 5236. So you can see on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it fits well. The lugs are well inboard of the edge of my wrist in this down the barrel shot. I can recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. It's also flat, and with a conical bezel, it allows the sleeve to ramp up and over the side. Here's your over the top. Just be mindful that the strap is stiff, unbroken in. I'm pulling it tight, and this angle exaggerates the span of the watch. That said, the strap is stiff because it's made of good stuff. Large rectangular scale alligator leather, cut thick. You can see this is an expensive piece of the beast's hide. Patek doesn't hold back with its straps. It is, I would describe it as a matte finish in black with a monotone stitch, and then it has a kind of sheer folded edge, but it is a folded edge. It's not cut and lacquered. On the bottom, calfskin. You can see this is a brand new Patek Philippe factory strap. It features Patek's pull tab spring bars, so you can pop that strap off without a tool. One of the reasons I love this watch is because not only is it beautifully designed, but the team under Terry Stern never stopped designing, to the point that it has an exclusive model-specific pin buckle when no other Patek Philippe does. So this is very cool right there, with sort of Art Deco 1930s look, something like you might have seen over the entrance to a Patek Philippe facility during the early days of Stern family ownership. The case, like I said, is very closely inspired by the 3448 and the 3450. Take a look at the break between those lugs in the case. That is welded lug case construction at its absolute best. Fitting those lugs in and then welding them on and then double finishing the seams so you get that break between them. Satin here, satin here. You can only do this with lug welding, and that's deeply impressive. You can also see these jewel-like polished facets from other angles, and the fact that there's a little bit of a step between the lug and the case, which I absolutely adore. Everything about this watch is well done. Note the step between the bezel and the case. This helps to visually thin it out, and you can see that there's a little bit of an inset case band as we move down to make it look even thinner on the wrist. We have this angular bezel. That's drawn from history on the 3448, and then the slightly boxed and cambered sapphire with the logo of the company, the Calatrava cross on the crown. Note the use of satin and polish to break up the visual mass of the flank, and then different finishes on the dial. The 5235 has always been intriguing because Patek engraves its logo and the city of origin rather than printing them, which keeps them discreet and handsome. Now, taking a look, you can see there's several different finishes. We have this brushed metal that runs from top to bottom, that's sort of anthracite, somewhere between gray and black. And then we have this black chemin de fer for reading the minutes. It is a regulator dial, which means we have our hours, our minutes, and our seconds on separate scales. And yes, we do have hacking seconds. You can set this next generation micro rotor automatic to the second. We also have an aperture style calendar system with the day, the date, and the month, very easy to read. Look at the polished chapter rings for the seconds and the hours. The attention to detail, excellent. And then look at the way all of the numerals on the dial are radially arrayed on every scale. Also take note that the fonts are consistent from scale to scale. The regulator style is named primarily after mother clocks that were often used to regulate watches in watchmaking studios. So having large independent scales for hours, minutes, and seconds made it that much easier to do so. This being an annual calendar, you can make adjustments using these pushers, but you need only adjust it once during the jump from February to March each year. And in very good taste, Patek used black discs inside the apertures. Look at the detail of the apertures. See how there's a little bit of faceting? It's not just a sheer cut straight through the dial. The attention to detail here really is surpassing, with an azurage concentric finishing inside each of these sub-registers. You turn it over. This is not the 240. Like I said, this is a new generation of micro rotor automatic. 31260 REG and then QA for quantième annuel. It's big. Look at the size of this in the case back. 33 millimeters. The 240 is tiny, like 6 millimeters smaller in diameter. We also have here a unique escapement that's almost best described as the production realization of most of the advanced research series silicon technologies. So we've got an unlubricated silicon anchor, escape wheel, and hairspring. Those features in tandem reduce friction, reduce mass, improve power reserve, extend the intervals between services, and in the case of all silicon components, but especially the hairspring, they reduce the impact of magnetism upon the watch, almost making it amagnetic. Now, it has a weird beat rate because of these unique components, so it is 23,040 beats or vibrations per hour. It's a free-sprung Gyromax style balance. That's Patek's long-running free-sprung architecture, and you can see it's adjusted in an uncompromising 6 positions. Not 5 like a chronometer, 6. 31 joules, big movement, micro rotor in 22 karat gold, 48-hour power reserve. Note the use of ceramic ball bearings to improve efficiency. All this is 30 meters water resistant, so splash and rain exposure only. I know Patek now says 30 meters means 30 meters. Please consult with the factory before you actually test that theory. Now, one feature that I really like about this new generation micro rotor, it's not just that it better fits a big case, it's that it has a beautiful architecture. Look at this crescent-like arc from the barrel down to the escapement with these individual bridges, almost like the finger bridges of a traditional Geneva pocket watch. Then on one side, you can see we've got the power gathering mechanism and the power expending mechanism, and then on the other side we have the power storage and transmission. Beautifully done. Take a look at these mirrored bevels. Now, of course, a lot of this movement is executed by mechanical means, often started that way and then finished manually, and you can see that it's a very convincing bevel. That's also applied to all of the jewel sinks. Those are internally beveled. That this movement, the 31260, has a unique broad Côte de Genève rather than narrower stripes, which creates this wonderful broad sweeping luminescent effect that's gorgeous. You can see that in some cases, locating pegs that help to locate a bridge on a substructure like a bridge on a baseplate, those pegs have been polished on their top. We have engine turning on the baseplate in several different sizes, satination on the wheels, including the ratchet wheel. It's just a lovely movement. And Patek now says these can run to no worse than -1 + 2 seconds per 24 hours. One other note about that silicon hairspring, the latest Patek silicon hairspring, which this has, is able to breathe concentrically like an overcoil despite being thin and flat like a flat hairspring. It is the best of both worlds. And again, 48-hour power reserve. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.